Hello again. I wanted to just record a brief review of a film that I just recently watched called Valhalla Rising, released in 2009. I knew nothing about this film prior to actually watching it. It came up on my Netflix recommendation list and it sounded interesting, so I thought that I would check it out, and I'm glad that I did. The film is difficult to explain. I'll attempt to provide a kind of a synopsis of what's going on, but the film is told primarily through images and through atmosphere, which is kind of inexplicable, and so you can't really provide an accurate summary of the narrative because there isn't really a traditional narrative to speak of. Basically, the film takes place during the Crusades around 1000 AD, revolves around this group of crusaders who are going on this journey, and they have this captive who's kind of like their slave. His name is One Eye. You don't exactly know who One Eye is or what his role is in the film. He's just kind of there. He's a mysterious figure. He actually has no lines of dialogue throughout the entire film. He's, again, the main character. He's on screen almost probably like 90% of the time, and he has no dialogue. The film basically involves this group of people going on the ship trying to reach, I think, Jerusalem, and they end up running into this mysterious fog, and they like fall asleep, and then when they awake, they're at this strange, mysterious, obscure location. They don't know where it's at, they don't know what they're doing there, but they get off the boat and they start traveling around this new location, and all these strange things start happening, and um, that's pretty much the extent of what happens in the film. You probably think that it doesn't sound that intriguing or that interesting, and if you're going to the film expecting something like 300, maybe like an action adaptation of a historical event or like a particular period of time, then you're going to be severely disappointed. This film is more like an avant-garde art film as opposed to like a traditional action or adventure film. There are long periods of time where there's no dialogue spoken whatsoever, and dialogue is very sparse to begin with. Most of the film is told, again, through atmosphere and through images, particularly images like juxtaposing characters with their environments. The cinematography is astounding in the film. I was going to say outstanding, but it's both outstanding and astounding. It's shot on the Red One camera, and so everything is beautiful, and the locations that they're at are breathtaking. You've got a lot of shots that involve uh, like extreme close-ups of characters on one side of the screen, again juxtaposed with uh, images of nature in the background. And again, it's difficult to explain without actually having seen the film, but let me just say that you, if you appreciate cinematography, then you'll appreciate this film. Let me just say that. In fact, I think that that alone is probably a sufficient reason to actually watch the film, just due to the cinematography alone. Some people might be worried about the pacing of the film. Um, if you have difficulty sitting through films that kind of progress at a slow pace, then you may not like this film. If I were to actually compare it to another film, it would probably be most reminiscent of like Aguirre, The Wrath of God. You certainly can detect a lot of Herzog homages, I guess, and you can also kind of see like a Terrence Malick influence as well, in terms of the way that nature plays a role in the overall telling of the story. Uh, Overall, I probably would give the film 3.5 stars, maybe 4 stars, maybe 3.75 stars, if I could go that route. The only real difficulty that I had with the film was that occasionally during the few brief action sequences that they did have, they were really brutal, but they for some reason used like this really cheesy CGI spraying blood effect, and I have no idea why they ended up doing that. Um, Beyond that, though, the film was just really neat, and it's just a very cool experience to actually sit through. If you're into kind of these sort of metaphysical, surrealistic type of films, and using or telling a story of this type using kind of surrealistic methods, to me was very interesting and kind of innovative. I haven't really seen something like this being done before, and so I mean I can give the film props for that. I recommend watching it again. If it sounds interesting to you, then watch it, but be aware of the fact that, again, not a lot is happening. There's not a lot of dialogue, not a lot of action. It relies heavily on cinematography, and yeah, I mean, if what I said sounds interesting, then check out the film. If not, then don't. But that's all that I have to say about it. I'm sorry this went on for too long.